This is Sean Ferris for MGD 1, Milestone 1, Week 1, going over the features implemented from features 1335, 1347, 1346, and 145. 145 and 146 are surveys that were sent out. I've got their feedback. The instructor and I discussed the possibility of aggregating those in a standardized method next week. So we'll go into what's been added into the build of the game. So within the tutorial level, we'll be able to see some of the changes made to Pixie based off of the user testing. This is still the original default tutorial level testing, but her jump is a little higher. The tester said that this felt smoother for them. You should be able to see that she jumps a little higher than she did originally because she can clear some of these gaps a little better than she did in the past. Give me a moment. So the big feedback really was trying to figure out how to make the gravity switch work efficiently and look good. So now Pixie does a little jump and then flips, which people felt did the flip better. The timing felt better to them. So those are the big changes for the user control. I feel like this will probably still need a little more polish as the game goes along. It's hard to say that the user controls are perfect just doing testing in one level. So once level one is done and the tutorial castle is laid out following the paper prototype, we will do a lot better testing for that. But that covers what I tested with 1347 for the feature. I tested this with about 3 different people and got their feedback on the jump and the flip mechanics. So we'll show you quickly the emotions on the new version of the build. There's a button here for Pixie Emotion Test. That wasn't there originally, and what this does is let you toggle through her various states. So we'll do angry first, and I try to animate these in a way that Pixie's body language would show how she was feeling. Dread. Then we have excited. And we have a happy Pixie. A Pixie who loves something. A pissed off Pixie, which had to be different than just the regular angry, so we wanted to show that she was really mad. A sad Pixie when things don't go her way, and a surprised Pixie when she finds something she didn't expect. So code-wise, there wasn't a whole lot of changes this week with our code. Looking at the gravity swap, we did move some stuff around. Added this add force, which adds the jump for when she jumps. Originally, her gravity scale switched during this call, but that was actually happening before she was doing her flip animation, so people thought it felt weird. So the scale changes down here in the flip to make that move more smoothly. We've also added a temporary invulnerability because when people were flipping, they were hitting the spikes and it was killing them. So there's about a half a second window while Pixie's flipping, we were actually invincible to make that mechanic run a little more smoothly. In terms of how the emotion controller is working, it's just a simple button that calls the different emotions and sets them to false, and then finds whatever one you fed it and sets that to true, and it feeds all of the bulls to Pixie's controller, which I can show you in a second. Wrong version of Unity. So with Pixie's controller, give me a moment. This is what Pixie's controller looks like right now. It's a little bit of a mess web. All this stuff over here originally controls her movement and shooting and dying. All of her emotional states have been added over here. They all run off of a large set of bulls. I'm thinking of changing this to one single int. That 0 will put her back to the idle state, and then having a numeric value for each of these states. It may streamline it in terms of having all these bulls in the statics in the state tree, but at the same time I'll have to remember what int correlates to which of the various states of personality. But those are the 4 milestones I had accomplished this week. I'll show a version of the game running in an emulator with this video, and then I will try to record a video of me playing it on the tablet as well this weekend. Let me make sure I went through everything I needed to. Discussing how this kind of fits into the overall game. The big milestone this week was Pixie's emotions, wanting to be able to have her have some kind of emotions that the player could identify with beyond just the emotion bubbles. My decision was to give her some physical feedback with her body to help express that emotion. The control implementation is a very important part of the overall project because the game needs to be able to play smoothly because it's going to be difficult, but we want players to feel like the difficulty is in controlling it as opposed to playing the actual levels. So doing a test focus group with that was good. I feel like after the first 2 levels have been kind of scripted that I may need to do another test group with them to make sure the controls still feel good. Those are the big milestones I'd like to revisit as testing later. I don't think that her emotions really need to be revisited unless there's feedback from the players during gameplay that something doesn't feel quite right. And that's where I stand at the moment. So this is me testing Pixel Perfect in the BlueStacks emulation state. I'll also do a video of me testing it on my tablet. Everything looks pretty good in terms of scaling. One thing I've noticed though is on smaller devices, these letters that are the big letters for like tutorial and leaderboard, they don't show up well, so I'm probably going to replace those with images so I don't have to worry about scaling. The big thing to show off, because there's no real changes to the tutorial level and it's difficult to play 2-button input on the emulator on my desktop, is Pixie's emotion test. I'll run through the tutorial as well as the emotion test on my tablet in a second video that I upload. But we'll look at the emotions test. Everything is scaling fine, and initially wasn't. I had to go back and resize some stuff. But we can go through and do all of our different emotions. Dread was not originally working because I'd accidentally set the image compression type to crunched, which will apparently turn them black in Unity. So this one's set to true color. It was the only one that had an issue. I was able to check all of the rest correctly. So we'll just go through them really quickly. And that's all I really will be able to show this week for work. But all of our different states are working, and I'm happy with them. So I'll also do a recording, like I said, on my tablet to do another device, and that should be good for the week.